Hi everyone, Emily with Nick here today.
Hello.
I'm a little bit co with Pepper, so if you sense any of that, that's what that is. I've got Nick on today because recently we've kind of been talking about and understanding a little bit better his maladaptive daydreaming. We've known for like ever that he daydreams and that it's a lot.
Yeah.
But when I was going through my diagnosis for dissociative identity disorder, there was a segment in it that talked about maladaptive daydreaming, and we kind of for fun got him to do it as well.
Oh god, I was such high in that test.
Yeah, so it came onto our radar and we were like, cool, let's look into this a little bit. So what is maladaptive daydreaming? Again, I've just got some little notes just to help me. It's a condition where basically you intense daydream, but it's not really in your control, usually. I mean, there's exceptions. It's like very intense and regular, so more so than like normal daydreaming, and it can detract from doing daily tasks, so you can become distracted so that you don't do things that you would normally do. It's also usually not like a trauma response, but a traumatic event happens, so that's usually where it comes from. It's an escape from reality, if reality isn't so fun for you.
So you make loads of other little realities.
Yeah. So basically, I'm gonna ask some questions to Nick that I've sort of come up with and thought about, because I've basically just been learning about it very recently, and I thought I would take you guys with me on this because I'm finding it really fascinating. He's lived with it his entire life, so he's just like, what? This is just normal.
What it is, yeah.
This is just normal for you.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things we'll talk about will be my experiences, so other people with maladaptive daydreaming will probably experience it differently, similar in some areas, just... Yeah, there is exceptions in like all the things that I'm going to bring up, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of people experience it differently.
Yeah, and also, if I say MD... I'm talking about maladaptive daydreaming, but sometimes I trip up on the words, so it's a lot easier to just be like MD than maladaptive daydreaming every time, so that's also a thing. I've got a little notebook here, and I am like going to ask questions from them because it's easier for me to remember stuff. So I think one of the first things that I wanted to understand in terms of it is like, what sort of examples do you mean? Because with normal daydreaming, it's things like, oh, I'm thinking about how my holiday's going to go, or you're sort of imagining how it's going to be like when I get married, and sort of things that could happen to you. What sort of, examples, kind of things do you have?
Well, I guess a common one for me is if I'm doing something like productive, or like if I'm at work and building bikes, I do a lot of times where I will tutorial someone I know in my head as I'm doing the process. So I'll be like showing them how to adjust gears or something like that, and it'd be like or like one of my workmates or something like that, just someone I know.
Do you like get stuck? Do you do it physically, or is it all
I'm
in
very
your
like
head?
animated in the air. I'm like, this is for this.
I see.
Kind of
So
thing.
it's sort of as if they're literally
if they're literally there, but they're not. And I know they're not, but it's just what I feel. Or like I kind of just default and feel comfortable doing that. If someone was there, I don't do it though. It's very much like I'm by myself. I feel more immersed in what I'm doing. If I'm with someone, I can like space out a little bit, but not as intensely as
I think that's another key thing with MD is that it's not. You don't believe it's true.
Yeah.
You know it's all made. Not all made up, but you know it's in your inner world.
Yeah.
You never confuse it with reality, and that is a very key thing to remember. It's not like schizophrenia or things like that. It's very much it's not real. So who do you talk to? Like anybody? Just anybody you've met, or is it people you know well?
I have a lot of conversations with people I know, or people that I've seen like online. So say if I was like playing a video game that I know someone else has been playing on YouTube, then I might talk to them in my head as like they're like their gamer persona kind of thing. Or if I'm like, I guess this is an emotional dependent thing as well. So if I'm like grumpy at someone, I will argue with them in my head, which
I see.
is a silly thing. But...
So your fantasy, your like, they're not. Are they or are they not like fantasy? Or are those just ones that happen?
I would say they're more a real. There's two types of like daydreams for me. So we have like the realistic ones, which are very grounded, very close to reality, and then there's ones that are like, this is just my own world I've created. So it's like completely fantasy, completely magic, completely not what real life is.
So there's like sort of kind of two types.
Yes, for me anyway. Yes.
Yeah, obviously it's all in your context of you.
Yeah.
But you have ones that are like related to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Do you ever have ones that, you know, are grounded in reality but not to do with what you're doing, I suppose? Like, I don't know, sort of imagining you're really wealthy, or imagining you're off riding a horse or a motorbike, or, you know.
Yeah, I do have like more realistic ones like that.
Okay, but you also have ones where you're flying, but that's more in your world.
Yeah, that's more in like not this kind of reality.
I see. So you've obviously been doing this your entire life.
Yep.
Have any of them been consistent? Like, have any of them have you got characters or events that happened when you were a child that still continue today?
I guess I've probably forgotten a lot of some of the things that I daydreamed as a kid, or they've changed so much that they're nothing like when I was a young lad. But there's definitely, as far as back as I remember, I have worlds that have been built up to where they are now. So very, very long-term characters that I've become quite attached to in a way, and I have brought some of them into like drawing or things like that. But for the most part, most things stay in my head. Most of the worlds do just get built up on as I kind of daydream, I guess.
Right. So they can last a really long time then.
Definitely,
so it's not like
ones that lasted years.
Nice. So again, because with some daydreams you imagine they're just like one-off type things, whereas with MD it's like long-term consistent.
Yeah.
So I've asked you in the past, like, oh, what are you daydreaming about? And you found it really difficult to talk about like what you're daydreaming about, because it happens a lot. So how often do you think you daydream?
Okay, that's honestly quite a difficult one. I'd say my daydreams are near constant, but I can it's like a bar, I guess. So the more focused I am to reality, the more I'm daydreaming. So sometimes I will be like daydreaming a little bit, but still keeping conversation with someone. Mm-hmm. So it would be like I might space for a few seconds into thinking about this, and then just jump straight back to topic, kind of thing.
So I mean, like, it's almost constant then. It's not
Pretty
like
much.
You can have a conversation and not daydream for a while.
I would say not for long. If I'm really into a conversation, then yeah. If like someone's talking about something I'm really interested in, I don't care about daydreams because I'm invested in the now.
So what about like playing video games? Because I know that's a hobby of yours. You like playing video games with me as well.
I might daydream about things I want to do in the game, or I might daydream about.
So you do, then when you're doing something you enjoy.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess it's mostly talking is one of the big things that knock me out of in the daydreaming state, I guess.
Is that ever frustrating?
No, I personally don't mind.
Okay.
I know, it's the thing with some people with MD that if they can't finish a daydream, they get, almost frustrated or angry. But for the most part, I'm quite happy to put a little bookmark in it, I guess.
Okay, so you can go back to them as well. Oh, that's
very
pretty
much
cool. So yeah, when you've had a daydream and I've been like, what are you daydreaming about? What is it that you find difficult about then explaining to me what your daydream was?
When I have, mostly with fantasy daydreams, something that's not realistic, I when I snapped out of a daydream, I like hyper focus on what I'm looking at, and I then need to I guess it's like a dream. When you wake up, you remember the dream, and you got to try and remember it. Otherwise, it's just gonna go. I like to take some time after I daydream to process it before I start talking about it. Sometimes it can be quite personal, and I'll probably never want to talk about it because it could be like, I don't know, secret things that like I daydream or fantasize about, I guess.
Yeah,
like,
everybody's got things in their head they want to keep private, and I guess it's just if you're always daydreaming, then there's going to be things that are private. But that comparison to dreams, because I've had dreams, like I have quite a lot of dreams,
and I barely dream at all.
Yeah, nighttime dreams, that is. And then I wake up in the morning and I have to like lie there and be like, oh, what was I dreaming about? And then if somebody like talks to me or somebody makes a lot of noise and stuff, I find it really difficult to remember as well. I find it difficult to be like, oh, what was I just dreaming about? So do you forget them?
Yeah, I'd say so. I guess it's when you have so many, and trying to remember them all, especially as my memory's already terrible, so there's not a lot I still remember a lot. Like some of the more key ones, like the main story ones, I don't tend to forget.
So they have a story. So do they have like a...
I guess I kind of call it a story. Some overarching stories for some different areas, but for the most part it is just snippets. It's like shorts almost.
I've heard some people say that it's almost like not a rom-com, like a series.
Yeah, that is a very good way of thinking
a drama or something, where it's like you pick up each episode, but it's still the same characters and the same...
That is actually a good way of thinking about it. I didn't think about that before. Okay.
It's just fascinating to me. So, are you in control of your daydreams? Like, do you choose what happens in your daydreams, or is it unconscious?
It feels like a mix of both, I guess. So I don't usually choose what I'm going to daydream about. Well, sometimes I do. If I'm like really invested in like a story or something, then I will snap back to that. But pretty much no, for the most part, because I can't really turn it off, I guess. It's just my passive brain is just there's nothing here, let's daydream, basically.
It's part of the disorder,
It's just the way I do.
So even if you're talking to Pepper, his girlfriend, you're still... your mind will be wandering.
Yeah, I can still wander very easily.
Are you able to concentrate on a conversation? Because through my experience with you, I've never felt like that I'm not being listened to, or that you don't understand what I'm talking about. So how does that work if you're daydreaming, but yet you still are able to...
Well, sometimes I think you've just... With my daydreaming, is very... The more immersed I am, I'm usually by myself, or, as weird as it sounds, in public with places where I don't expect to be talking to people. Because talking grounds me more. It puts me more in a reality state, I guess. So if I'm around friends, I'm expecting I might have a conversation with them, so I'm less immersed. I know if there's an extroverted person with MD, they might still comfortably daydream when there's loads of people around. But with me, I don't. And if I do, like if I'm in a car or something, I do daydream a bit more then. Sometimes when I'm spoken to, I don't fully understand what they say to begin with. But it's just not caught very often because I'm more like it when I'm by myself behind closed doors, basically.
So I guess leading on from that, would you say that, for example, in your last video and in this one, like right now, you haven't daydreamed?
I've daydreamed quite a bit in this one.
Again, you've daydreamed and yet you're able to still be coherent and continuous. So how do you... What sort of thing do you daydream about?
I was daydreaming with a Monster Hunter at the moment. There's one that was going through my head.
Yet you're able to daydream... So what do you daydream about Monster Hunter? Do you imagine the monsters?
I am, at the moment, I'm imagining what... I guess in Monster Hunter 2...
That's fine. In the game,
just roaming around on different monsters I've collected, basically.
I see.
So I like the world. I think it would look prettier on PC, but I got it on Switch. But
you're thinking about all of those things, but kind of visually.
Yes.
and yet you're still able to concentrate on what's going on here. I just think that's really fascinating. It's
I guess it's because
splitting your mind.
With the bar, I'm more focused on the now, and there's a tiny bit of my brain dedicated to daydreaming. Like, the majority of it is in combat.
I see.
But
So
there's
it's only a
little
small
bit
bit.
I'm just going to sneak over here for a minute.
But sometimes I've noticed, for example, I think it was in the last video or something, if I talk for a long time and I'm explaining something and we're talking about stuff, I can literally see your eyes, they don't like glaze over, but you do have like a slight drifting off face. I think that was something that we picked up. When you're in the middle of a daydream, do you do things physically? I know I've seen you pacing. Do you only pace when you're daydreaming?
I do a lot of hand gestures, more so when I'm by myself. Again, when I'm around people, I do make like sighs or more audible, just noises, I guess. Just
Yeah,
that,
because
like,
you've done
they're
something
abnormal.
like you've said something like "oh no" before.
Yeah, I've gone oh no, and it's like wait, what's
Yeah.
on? It's like oh, it's nothing. Just
It's a daydream, and again he needs to process it, so he can't tell
I
us.
don't really
It's
want to
like,
talk about it. Yeah, it's like yeah.
okay, well that's going to be it for today. But we've still got some more things to cover because I just think this is really interesting, personally. And I want to share more different sort of brains with my audience. So I really, really hope you guys enjoyed it. And I would really appreciate if you guys would subscribe and like and all the things.
Fun stuff.
But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed it. Have a really awesome day, guys, and we will see you next time. Bye.